Hello, I'm Sally, and this is Battle Bits. In this episode, we are reading the first chapter of Love, Ruby, Lavender by Deborah Wiles. And before the chapter starts, there's a map. And there is an article in a newspaper. Aurora County News, Twilight Edition, June 3rd. Agricultural page. Hallelujah, Mississippi. In a surprise announcement today, Lucius Peterson of Peterson's Egg Ranch declared that he would close his shop and retire after 45 years in the egg business. "I was planning this," said Peterson. "I haven't bought new chicks for 2 years now. These old hens are ready to go to slaughter. Pretty soon you'll be seeing them on your dinner plates as drumsticks and chicken a la king." Local citizen Miss Eula Dapplevine, long known for her commitment to animal rights and lost causes, was heard to say in response, "That's what you think, Buster." Chapter 1, June 4th. "Murderers! You can't have them all!" Ruby Lavender leaned out the car window and shook her fist. The car lurched to a halt in the dirt yard of Peterson's Egg Ranch, and Ruby scrambled out the door. She ran in bare feet as fast as she could into a dusty sea of chickens being herded toward their death at the chopping block. Miss Eula Dapplevine was driving the getaway car. She leaped from her seat into the hot June sun and waved her arms wildly. "Run, run, run for your lives!" Chickens screeched and panicked. They ran and jumped and flapped their wings. Ruby opened her arms and swept herself like a wave through the squawking. "Gotcha!" She dropped to her knees and reached for chicken legs and necks and breasts, pulling them all to her. "I'll save you, girls." She had a face full of feathers. She swayed from side to side, trying to get her balance. Her left overall strap slipped off her shoulder. 3 men came running from inside the chicken house. The tallest one jerked down the bandana he wore around his mouth and nose. "Stop! Thieves! Get back here with those hens!" "Go away, Lucius!" yelled Miss Eula. She waved dust from her face with her big hat. "You won't miss a few old laying hens past their prime." Ruby struggled to stand with her arms full of chickens. She staggered to the car, a squawking hen under each arm, and tossed them through the open window of the back seat. "Hit it, Miss Eula!" Another hen ran, screaming straight for Ruby and nearly knocked her down. Ruby grabbed it. "Good garden of peas, we'll get in here!" She tossed it into the car, then climbed through the open window right behind it. "Hurry, Miss Eula!" "You're crazy, Eula!" shouted Lucius. "Crazy!" Chickens flew at Lucius, pecking his hard boots. Others raced like a river over a dam through the split rail fence across the country road and into the surrounding fields. "Go, girls, go!" Miss Eula put her hands on her hips. "How would you like to be on someone's dinner plate, Lucius? Lucius a la king!" Lucius and his workers didn't know which way to run first as they tried to shush the puddle of chickens left at their feet. Miss Eula flounced back into the car. She jerked the gear shift into drive and pulled out of Peterson's Egg Ranch, weaving the big car slowly right and left as she dodged chickens and stirred up dust. "How many did we get?" "We got 3, all red." Next to Ruby sat three of the most pitiful-looking, nervous creatures she had ever laid eyes on. They clucked and stared at her. 3, that's a good number, a lucky number. You are a good partner, Ruby Lavender, for a 9-year-old, Miss Eula winked at Ruby. And you are a good getaway driver for a grandmother, Ruby winked back. Folks will keep eating chicken all right, but they won't eat these 3 now, will they? They surely won't, said Ruby. I can't wait to get to know them. We'll get to know them together. The car traveled smoothly down the country road. The chickens squawked and flapped and put up a ruckus. Miss Eula's and Ruby's eyes met in the rearview mirror. They smiled at each other, they giggled, and then they laughed and laughed. June 6th. Ruby finished the letter she was writing and folded it 3 times quickly. She jumped up, knocking her chair backward, and shoved the note into the big front pocket of her overalls. Then she raced outside, slapping the screen door against the house. Her mother sat cross-legged in the vegetable garden next to giant hills of zucchini, scribbling into a notebook in her lap. She looked up, squinting, under the brim of her straw hat. Whoa, what's the emergency? Got mail to deliver, called Ruby. Important mail, a matter of life and death. Well, be home for supper if you're still alive. Ruby waved a hand raggedly and ran. Her bare feet slapped the dirt road, and her ponytailed red hair leaped all over the place, like a fire chasing her down the hill. She took the long way into town. She always did since the accident. When she came to the town sign, she leaned against it to catch her breath. The sign says, "Welcome to Hallelujah, Mississippi. Population, 400 good, friendly folks and a few old soreheads." Every storefront in Hallelujah faced Main Street. Behind the stores ran a sandy lane. Ruby followed it past the back of the laundromat and the bank to the post office. She patted her pocket. Yes, the note was still there. Behind the post office grew a majestic silver maple tree. Its roots stretched themselves out underground, popping up here and there, knobby, like big scraped knees. Hidden in a root tangle was a dry hole just big enough for a sack of marbles or a softball. But Ruby never put her softball into this hole. It was her secret mailbox. She pulled the letter from her pocket to put it into the knothole. But wait, she had mail. It was pink. First, she made sure no one was looking. The Tolbert twins were farther up the lane, jumping rope. They didn't notice her. Old Ezra Jackson dozed in a chair behind the filling station. Ruby yanked the paper from the knothole and replaced it with her letter. She sat under the silver maple with the piece of pink paper and read, "Dear Ruby, today will be a busy day in the store. I can't wait to see you, even though we won't have time to drink a Yahoo together like we usually do. I'll be anxious for a report on Ivy, Bemmy, and Bess. Love, your favorite, only, grandmother, Miss Eula." Ruby had a report, all right. She couldn't wait to tell Miss Eula what had happened. It was all in the letter she had just put in the knothole. She would let Miss Eula know it was waiting for her. She walked past the back of the post office, past the back of Doc McRee's office. Yes, sir, she had news. She felt puffed up and full of importance. She sauntered, pleased as she could be, through the back door of Miss Mattie Perkins' general store. And this is the letter from her. "Dear Miss Eula, oh, joy and happy day. Ivy has laid 3 eggs. I can't believe it. Bemmy is so jealous. She is clucking all over the place. Ivy is saved from the chopping block, and she's going to have chicks of her own. What time will you be done working today so we can visit the chickens together? The eggs are brown. Love, your favorite, only grandchild, Ruby L." And that is chapter 1 of Love, Ruby, Lavender. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.